Okie dokie. Recording in progress. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning for those watching the recording as well. So today is day 18, which means that we have, including today, 4 days left together. And so in terms of the logistics, I would like you to prepare for Friday. So Friday is going to be Friday is going to be our last day. So I would like you to prepare something that puts you in celebration mode. Now, since it's 9 in the morning, you don't have to go with champagne. I usually go with champagne for celebration, but since it's 9 in the morning, those of you that don't feel like that, that's perfectly fine. You can go with celebration coffee or celebration whatever, but I want you to look for something that puts you into the celebration mood. Okay, so whether that is, I don't know, whether you want to put on something fancy, whether you want to create, a beautiful drink that doesn't have any alcohol, like a mix of orange juices or something with a nice straw that you put in a beautiful cup, whether you buy yourself some flowers, like whatever it is, I want you to really go into like the celebration mode, okay? Because on Friday, we're going to speak about celebrations and we're also going to celebrate. So that's going to be very helpful. All right, so that's step number 1. And today I'm going to talk about a topic called the void. It's one that I've also learned a lot about last year. And then the next 2 days, we're going to spend some time in really getting like high energy, high good mood, and then we celebrate on Friday, and then we take it from there. Charlotte says, "Are you doing a follow up? Want more Nadia? What I'm going to do at 9 a.m. every day?" You guys are so sweet. I think I'm going to speak a little bit about, I don't know whether it's going to be tomorrow or Thursday. I'm going to take a bit of time to just explain what I'm currently offering in terms of ways to work with me if you want to continue, that just so you know what's going on and some things that you can tap into if you wish. So I'm going to do that tomorrow, and on Thursday I believe I'm just going to explain some things. Okie dokie. All right, so let's get into the but I'm really happy, Charlotte, that you need me every day.
you know it, Nadia. You're like medicine. You're shot every day, and not just shot. Fortunately, we can listen to these videos again, but I got used to this 9 o'clock coffee.
I also have to say I really like it, like this tuning in the morning energy and really focusing again on personal wishes and needs and fantasies. It's very nice.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. That's beautiful, and beautiful feedback also. Thank you so much. And yeah, so let's speak a little bit about a topic called the void. So what is the void? When we manifest, there is a time between saying that we want something and it actually happening. And in this time, and it's true for everything. So it's not only with wishes and desires, it's true for, like, let's say for very even tangible things, like between starting to build a house and completing building a house, between starting to buy a car and buying the car, there's a time between when these things happen. And in this time, our mind is playing us tricks, because our mind is saying all kinds of things. What happens is we start off in this like, yay, let's go, like, let's go, let's start, let's do this. Like, you're motivated, you're energized, your dreams are like, your dreams feel like, oh my God, they're so big and so amazing, and I'm so happy and I'm so excited. And then there comes a point when you're like, okay, is this really going to happen or not? Or like, I keep getting shown lessons that I need to learn, and the universe is presenting me different things, and like, oh my God, like, oh, what's going to happen? And we lose trust and we lose faith. And one of the topics where this really applies is, for example, when we, like where I experienced this last year, and I speak about this as well in my sales program. So Berenice, you will remember this, is when we launch programs. So when we launch as coaches and consultants, when we launch programs, so when we say, okay, we're going to run a program, there is a time between when we launch it, we post things on social media, we start putting it out there, and the program starts. And in this time, we don't do anything, we just wait. And this is really hard for us not to get into the doing of more things and just to go into trust mode that everything will be as it's supposed to be. You did everything you could, everything is, everything is perfect, everything's going to happen in aligned timing, and you just trust that the right people will buy the program, and you trust that the right people will show up, and you trust that the right number of people will end up there. And this is something where our mind starts playing us tricks, where we're like, okay, maybe you should write people personal messages and see if they want to join. Maybe you should, do another live class. Maybe you should do another this. Maybe you should do another that. Because we do these things because we don't trust. We don't trust that things are going to happen. Things are going to happen for us. We think that we need to keep doing things instead of just leaning back and receiving. So this is, again, when we look at the receiving energy, when we're not good at receiving, this is exactly what happens, right? That we're like, okay, universe wants to deliver, and we're so impatient that we're like, yeah, but I want it now. Like, why haven't people bought yet? Why are they waiting until the last second? Why is everybody buying in the last second? Like literally 5 minutes before the program starts, people are still buying. Why is that? That doesn't make any sense, right? So this is what we call the void. And then we do something that is even worse. And that is pulling the plug. Pulling the plug is when we think, okay, it cannot happen. It's not going to happen. I don't trust this. I don't believe this. And we cancel, right? So we cancel. It's a bit like signing up for the gym and then going every day to the gym. And then you're like, okay, after 3 days, I don't yet have my perfect body. So I'm going to cancel my subscription, right? It's like I pull the plug. This time that I need to work on something, and that where I'm creating something, where I'm shaping my body and I don't see the results immediately, that's when I pull the plug. It would be the same if a farmer, for example, would say, okay, so I want to plant, I don't know, maize, for example. So I want to plant maize. So I start preparing the crops, I start doing all the things, I put the seeds into the ground, I water the seeds. And then after 2 weeks, I say, okay, this doesn't work. I watered it. I waited for sun to come. I waited for like everything. Yeah, this doesn't work. So let's rip up the whole thing again, because obviously these seeds are kaput. They don't work, right? It hasn't happened yet. This is not, they're not growing. It's not happening. It's not working. And yeah, so we just like, let's take all the seeds back out, because obviously these maize seeds are ruined. I'm going to go back and ask for a refund at the other guy's farmer's place, because these seeds are obviously not working, right? It's exactly the same thing, but yet we know that we need to have time when it comes, to, how do you say that? Not sowing the seeds, to reaping the crop. How do you say that? I don't know English farmer language. So when the time to harvest, right? It takes time until we harvest. The maize, it takes, I think, 4 or 5 months, or 4 months. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it takes 4 months until it's ready. But in the beginning, you don't even see a plant for the first time. And then it starts growing and growing and growing and growing and growing and growing more until you harvest it. And in this time, our mind drives us nuts. If we just trust that the seeds in the ground are growing and that things are happening down there that we don't see because we don't yet have the evidence, then we pull the plug and we're like, okay, this isn't working, so let's do something else. Let's pull the plug. And this is where we need to get used to being in the void. And when our mind starts playing us tricks and being like, yeah, this is not happening, and you're never gonna, it's not gonna sell, and this and that, and left and right, you just go back to trusting. It's like, I'm gonna be okay no matter what. I'm gonna be okay no matter what. This is gonna turn out the perfect way. It's gonna be the perfect amount of clients. It's gonna be the perfect amount of whatever is meant to be is going to happen in this time, in this place, right? And in the meantime, I'm going to do my best. Because what happens is when we face the void and when we pull the plug, we break our promise to ourselves. And there's no point in, you can set the best intentions, you can make all the promises to yourself and the planet. If you break your promise to yourself and you pull the plug, this is where we stop trusting ourselves, we stop believing ourselves, we stop believing in the good of everything to happen. And that's when the not so good things start happening, because we break our promise to ourselves. Our word is supposed to be law, even the one to ourselves. So if you set an intention and you promise to keep it, that's why it's better to stick to 2 or 3 really important intentions that are connected to a huge vision, to something that you really, really, really want to have. And stick to those for time where the risk of breaking your promise is not that big. If you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 things that you want to achieve and that you want to do, it's easier to break the promise, because it's like, okay, well, I've got 40 things on my list. So, well, if I do 39 out of 40, I'm still okay. Yes, you are. But you have to pick the ones that are most important to you, the ones where you really like, this is a promise to myself and I'm sticking to this promise no matter what. My word is law. I could have also just said, okay, you know what, guys, like after day 15, I'm tired. I'm going to stop this now. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. I could have just pulled the plug. But I stick to my word no matter what. No matter what. Yesterday, I drove to Austria for 11 hours. It would have been better to be in the car earlier, but it doesn't matter. I don't change anything. Like, my word is law. What I put on my calendar, everything has to work around that. I don't change things unless I really, really, really have to. Okay, if flights are the way they are, then I can hardly change those, but everything else I can move around, and I will. And this is something where we need to stop quitting. We need to make our promises, and we need to decide, are we really going to go through with this promise or not? And if you can't, then you need to reword it in a way that you can fulfill it. Like, I'll give you an example. On my list of things that I really want has been losing weight for the last, I think, 3 years, but the last 2 years with Corona, I've been gaining more and more weight. So it's been more on top of the list, let's say. And I've not really like, I just don't come to terms with it. And things are getting a bit, like, in the last couple of weeks, things have gotten a bit worse in terms of like, we set the intention to start a diet on the 1st of January. We didn't, right? So that was already the first thing where we broke our word. So now I realized, okay, the setting intention of just losing weight, this doesn't do it for me anymore. It's like, it's not a good enough target for me. So I rephrased it into a promise that I made to myself to say, I want to treat my body like a goddess temple. And that includes, yes, moving it, nourishing it, doing, I don't know, going to the hairdresser regularly, getting my nails done, like all the things, right? Like, really taking care of the body, treating myself with, like, luxury, not only like, okay, I'm going to paint my nails a bit, but like really properly treating my body. And this is a concept that is much easier for me to keep, because then it's about nourishing the body and the whole process and the whole concept, instead of just being fixated on, I need to lose weight. So if you find something that has been coming up on your list over and over and over again, I want you to look at this and be like, okay, how can I rephrase it into a promise that I can actually make myself and into a promise that I will enjoy doing? Okay. So having said that, the homework for today is going to be to change the way we promise things, because then we will not be as easily stuck in the void and going into the void, because then we don't, like, the void will still exist, but we will treat the void differently and we won't have the fear of unplugging things if it's something that we really promise ourselves. So I want you to go through your intentions, and I want you to rephrase your intentions in a way that is a promise to yourself. Okay. And you can do this. I would suggest you do it with like 3. I wouldn't do it with all of them. I would do it with like 3. And to say it in a way that you can really feel this in your body. And I'm going to give you a different example so you can see the difference. If you were to marry a guy and he would step to the altar and he would say, okay, my goal is to, stay faithful, and my goal is to keep you happy, and my goal is for better, for worse, and I'm kind of in this for a good deal of time, and let's make the best out of it, and let's see what happens, And I'll do my best to show up every day for you, and be there for our kids, and be nice to you, and I'll try, like, I'll do my best. Like, we wouldn't be very happy about marrying this guy, right? This does not cause excitement in our bodies to go like, yay, I've got the best guy, right? But when we do promises to ourselves, we need to say these promises in a way where we're like, I promise you that I will treat this body like a goddess temple. I promise you that I will nourish it, and I will treat it with the care that it deserves. And I will treat the skin with care, and the hair and the nails and everything from the inside and the outside. And I will like nourish it with enough water. And, that feels a lot better than, I promise I'm going to lose 10 kilos. And in the back of my head, I'm already going, yeah, that's not going to happen. Right? So I want you to take 3 of those intentions and turn them into something that you want to promise yourself. It doesn't have to be 3, it can be any amount you want. But I want you to practice it in front of the mirror, really saying it out loud. And if you want, like what I do is I video myself. So this is an exercise I did yesterday. I voice recorded it because I was driving the car. I voice recorded it, but I voice recorded it several times until I could feel it. In my body. And I kept changing the words and changing the meaning and thinking about it and being like, okay, how can I really make this a promise to myself so I don't end up pulling the plug and I don't end up failing? And then yesterday was what they call Blue Monday. So it's the Blue Monday is the day that people give up their good intentions and kind of go like, let's we're done. I tried for 2 weeks, doesn't work. Let's go. It's the second Monday of the new year where people kind of go back to, okay, tried this. It's not going to work for this year. I'll put it back on the intention board for next year. So really pick the ones that you want to go. Promise it to yourself. And if you promise it to yourself, mean it. Like, really mean it. For example, one of the promises that I did that wasn't on my radar, but that I really put into a promise was to make this year the best year of my dad's life, because I don't know how long he's still going to stick around. And I especially don't know how long he's going to stick around in terms of being able to memorize things. So making memories. So that's why I promised myself that I will do whatever I can. Obviously, I can't spend all day, all night making memories with him, but this was a promise I set myself where I was like, that would be amazing if I could still like take him on a trip, because he loves to travel. Like, I'm going to take him on a trip, or maybe 2 trips if we can, depending on what Corona tells us. But this is an intention I set for, not an intention, it's a promise to myself that I'm going to make this year amazing for my dad. That was a promise. And that was, honestly, out of all the promises I made myself, that was the easiest one to speak out. That I felt that in my body 100%. And it was the easiest to commit to, because it's like, okay, There's just no other way. There is no pulling the plug on this one. There is just no pulling the plug. It's a promise I make to myself. I'm not going to make it to him, but I am going to make it to myself. And this is something that for me is really important this year. And so I said, okay, I'm going to make this promise. It just came up, like whilst I was doing the promises, it just came up like, you need to make this promise to yourself to make this the best year ever for your dad. That just came up. I just channeled it. I don't know. It was like literally I was speaking those promises and then it was there. So one promise at a time. Okay. So record one promise at a time until it feels really good. And then you go ahead and you delete the other ones. Okay, so you delete the erratas and you keep the ones that are good. You can do this on video is better. I did it on voice recording. Honestly, it's a bit of cheating because I was in the car yesterday and I really wanted to do it yesterday. Also because yesterday was full moon and it was a moon that's also dedicated to commitment. So that's why I did it yesterday. But it's much better to do it in video. So you can look yourself in the eye and you can really feel in your body, are you serious about this promise? Yes or no? Are you serious about dedicating it? And if you make the decision, if you feel like, okay, it doesn't matter which way I change this promise, or I think maybe it's not that big on my dream list. Maybe it's not that big that I really want this, or maybe I don't want it in this way. Right? So it's a really good way when we promise ourselves, it's a really good way in order to find out like, okay, am I serious or am I not serious? Okay. All right. So that was it. Yes. Hold, our word is law, covered all of that. Okay. Questions in this regard?
Nadia?
Yes.
Hi, I'm curious.
Yes.
Where do you get all these dates from? It seems we're missing all the fun.
The dates?
Yesterday it was a day of this, and the other day was a day of that.
It shows up on social media, the Blue Monday thing. It showed up on like people kept posting on like today's Blue Monday. And I was like, what the hell is Blue Monday? I had no idea. Like sometimes I'm aware of it, like full moon and new moon is always in my calendar. But and then I always go and research and find out, okay, what is this full moon about? Or what is this new moon about? And all the other stuff, honestly, it shows up on my feed somewhere in social media. I'm like, what the hell is Blue Monday? I never heard of a Blue Monday. But I read up about it and I was like, that's interesting. But okay, I'll just mention it today because it can be Blue Tuesday too. You know, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference.
What is the purpose with this exercise?
The purpose is that you don't pull the plug. The purpose is that you take your commitment seriously and that you make your word as law. So what I say, I do. And I keep my commitments to myself and to anybody else that I do them with, you know. It's like I keep my word, I keep my contract. Like I'll give you an example. The lady I was speaking about yesterday, you know, the lady that she didn't break our contract, but she just added things that weren't agreed upon. And my partner asked me, yeah, but do you still have anything left that she needs to, you know, that she still needs from you? And I said, yes. And he said, well, then don't give it to her. And I said, I'm not doing that because my word is law. So if I promise something, I stick to that. Even if people break their agreements, I'm never going to break mine. This is a commitment I have to myself. So if I say something, I do it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's not good, even if you know, people break their stuff, I'm still going to hold up my end of the deal, because I never want anybody, you know, to have the feeling that, oh yeah, she doesn't stick to her contracts. Because then people also start breaking their stuff with you as well. You know, that's another side of the story. But it starts with you. Keeping your contract no matter what, it starts with you. Keeping your promises no matter what, it starts with you. So if you're about the things that you're really serious about, I want you to make a promise to yourself to keep those commitments. Because otherwise, you know, the next Blue Monday is going to show up in about a week from now. And then you'll be like, nah, I kind of don't feel like it. Let's not do this. Yes, Bernice.
I would like to share something. I think what is important is that we promise that we do to ourselves, that we identify the promise, how fitting into a
The sound is really bad. We can't hear
Yeah.
you.
Your sound is going up and down. So it's like I hear some words in between and then some I don't hear. Unmute again and try again.
here. Is it
Yeah.
better?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So what is important, I think, here is to have that promise has to fit into a bigger picture, has to fit into a bigger purpose, so that we really say it's this one is not only a caprice or only a one-time event, but it's something that is going to allow me to do this and this and that. So, for example, when we're talking about your diet, Nadia, I'm sure I heard that you love high heels, no? And I've seen a few of your pictures using this high heels. And it seems that you like to have the very nice dresses and they're very fancy and everything. So probably one of the bigger pictures things is like motivate yourself to say, hey, I want to use again that beautiful, sexy dress. I want to be able to walk in this, to make this start walking this place and feeling amazing and this kind of thing. The moment that we place ourselves achieving that in the future, I mean, how are we going to feel after we have achieved that, and what for is that after a few months to come? Because if I've heard about this commitment of many people wanting to lose weight, and I'm sure Bea has heard about. She's a specialist on diets, apparently, right?
Yes. Yes.
So then, but I think it's also very important. What makes that so important? What is this going to allow me to do this and this and this and that, and then try to position ourselves in that future. And then what I like about what you're saying now about this voice is indeed doing something about it, because we know that the six-pack does not come by itself, right? So of course it's building up day by day, and commit. But what I like the most now is what you're saying about this pull the plug, because it's very easy to just stop attending, like we could have done. Like probably sometimes some people may have done it, that they just didn't continue coming, or whatever. At 9 o'clock, maybe they are still listening to the recording, which is perfectly fine. But in other commitments, sometimes we can just pull up and say, no, I will just not continue going, whatever. But we are creating a pattern. The way that we start showing up, if we continue to do that way, we are creating the same behavior over and over again. And then after a few months to come, then we're going to see ourselves that we tend to do the same thing over and over again. So it's also trying to be careful with what paths we build for ourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. This is so important. This is really like, I agree on every point. And yes, you're right. I am dreaming about fitting back into those lovely dresses I have, because I have quite a few and it would be a shame to throw them all away or to donate them. So this is something where when we have a bigger vision and a commitment to, it's not only about having the vision of fitting into the dress, but really having this vision of, like, this is my body. I'm going to treat it like a goddess temple. This for me lights me up so much more than just saying I'm going to lose 10 kilos to fit into my dress, right? This is like, it's a bigger concept and a bigger thing. And also, I set an example, it's, I have people following me on social media. I have you guys, like, if I show up in my, like no makeup, just a mess every day in the morning, you're going to be like, well, she doesn't really have her life together. So that is something that doesn't work for me. But yeah, these promises are so, you will see how it changes something in your body. Like the same, Charlotte, you were expressing for the forgiveness letters. Like if you do this properly, it's going to shift something in your body and the commitment to it is going to change. But that's why I really say, like, the ones that you do them really properly. And if you can't make them feel good for you and really feel them in your body of like, yes, I feel this 100%, I'm committed to this, I make this promise and I take it seriously, then leave it. Then maybe this promise isn't the right time, the right thing. You don't really want it. Like, is this really a dream you have? If you either change it into a way that you like it. It's like if you start building a house and you've got the plans and you've got everything and you're starting, And then you realize like the first little problem comes up and you're like, oh my God, like this is so annoying. Like now this happened, like, oh, you know, guess what? There are a lot of more issues going to come up whilst you're building that house. So then you really have to commit to, I'm making my promise to myself, like if this vision is like, I'm building my dream house, I love this house, like I cannot wait to have that, like to move into this house. It's the bigger context of it, of having this house. But if you're like not really excited and the first problem that shows up is you're like, oh God, I want to pull the plug, like I really don't feel like doing this, then the question is it really your dream house? Is it really what you want, right? Then it might be better just to say, okay, you know what, like, let's not do this. Let's sell the thing whilst it's still, you know, whilst it's still just starting off, like they just finished the foundation. So we can still, you know, get out of this and then not too much harm done. But when the first thing shows up, that's when you will really know, am I serious and dedicated to making this promise to myself, yes or no? Right? So that's why you really have to think about, okay, do I feel this? Is it a full body yes? Do I feel this promise to myself? Do I feel the commitment to myself? Okay, other questions or comments?
Yes, me.
Yes. Hey, friend.
Hi, Nadia. I really love the example where you said, okay, don't try to do more. I would go in this space.
Yeah.
Because of a belief that I have that, well, like we have, most of us through the school have been taught that you have to work so hard to have degrees, to have grades, to have a good job, to have a lot of money. So yes, I would have the tendency to say, okay, I'm not seeing a result, so I have to try new things, I have to do more things. And of course, I'm creating side effects on side effects like overwhelming, stressed, more worry, more thinking, overthinking, and of course I'm creating unbalance, right? And so in my case, then the focus is promising to myself is not willing to do more, but being okay with what I'm doing and that I'm doing enough. Because that's the thing. I like to have your opinion because you're from the space too, where you did a lot in some areas and then you learn how to slow down in this area to get more balance. So what would you say to yourself in this case?
I would, it is a balance between, you know, it's a bit like this, right? So you're like, okay, so I would do like the launching is a really good example because that's where for me it happens the most. And it doesn't matter what I'm launching, whether I'm launching businesses, it's still like, it gets better over time, but I still catch myself going like, okay, just like, let it go, stop it, like stop it. So the launches are something where I would do the work and then I would do like a couple of lives and I would do a couple of posts. And then the last days before, I would just like post something, like I would continue in the energy and being in the vibe and being excited about it and all that. So I'm still in the energy, but then I would catch myself going like, maybe I should write a couple of people, you know? And I'm like, wait, this is out of the wrong energy. So I really noticed myself like, okay, what feels out of I really am then careful what feels out of an abundance energy and what feels out of a lack energy. So when it feels out of an abundance energy, I do it. And if my gut feeling tells me do it, then I do it. If I feel it's out of lack mentality because I'm afraid there are not going to be enough people, then I don't do it. I'll give you an example. So I wrote Berenice about this program because she asked me about it before. So I said, okay, I know she was interested. I know she wanted it. So I'm just going to like raise her awareness because I know she's not on social media that much. She doesn't follow up with like, she's not that much active on social media. So I thought I'm just going to write her a message in case she hasn't seen it. Finish. And then I let it go. Now, I would not write random people on social media and start cold messaging them of like, hey, have you seen that I'm running this program? Are you maybe interested? Like, this is something that maybe my old me would have done in order to make sure I have enough people in the program, but I no longer do that. I just trust that the right people will come and will show up, and that's the right amount. And the thing is it's a very different energy when you go back, when you go into this trust and into this receiving, and just like, okay, I did my part, and I just 100% trust that the people will show up. And the thing is, I started really having fun with this in terms of not communicating a lot about things like this program. I didn't communicate a lot about. There are other programs where really I run master classes and I do the things. And the reason was that this program, I did it also for myself. So I did it, of course, for you guys, but it was also, I was like, I really want to set the new year in a way where it's going to be so strong and so cool and so amazing. So I want to do this walk. And for me, it's more fun. And I also hold myself more accountable, and I'm more committed if I walk with other people, right? So that is why, I said, this is going to be really fun and I want to do this. And I communicated it not a lot. I was like, whoever is meant to see this will see this. And whoever is going to need to show up here will be here, finished. That's it. And so I sometimes intentionally put myself into a place where then, then of course, 48 hours before my brain starts going like, maybe you should have done more, maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. I'm like, no, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. The perfect amount of people are going to be here. You did this on purpose for yourself to not promote it, not speak about it too much and all the things, right? So I do this sometimes on purpose in order to trick myself to be in the void. Sounds kind of weird, but because it's a matter of holding the energy despite everything, like holding that energy of it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be all right, no matter what, no matter how many people buy this.
Can you say something more about holding the energy? I've heard Gabby Bernstein, people are talking about that. What do you mean by that?
Okay, that is an extremely good question. And honest to goodness, I had the same one. I was like, what the hell? Everybody talk about holding energy. What does that? You cannot hold energy. Like physically, you can't hold it, right? So what it means is you keep, let me see if I can explain this well. So you keep an energy frequency and you hold on to that, right? So it's like I said, with the radio station, it's like you tune into that frequency and you stay at that frequency. That's the one side of it. The other side of it is you stay in a good place, even though shitty things are happening around you. So it's called holding energy, because you're like, okay, I'm going to stay in my place, even though it's being in the eye of the storm a little bit. Like being in the eye of the storm, things are happening around you, things are evolving around you, and you just stay here and you're like, okay, I'm holding my energy, I'm holding my place, I'm not going to get involved, I'm not going to, I'm in my thing, hold my own energy. I'm in my own place, I'm in my own space. Does that make sense? You look more confused than before.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I think I understand. It's like it's about the same thing as when you want to pull out or whatever, you lose energy.
Exactly.
But
right.
it's very important to keep your eye on the intention and your energy focused on. Mm-hmm. I really see this now after these days, that how important it is to have high energy, to really try to be up there the whole time. Mm-hmm. Because you see things from a different perspective the higher you are up on the mountain. If you're down in the valley, it just seems like a big struggle getting up there. But when you're up, so yeah, it's very interesting.
And the good thing is, once you've seen the top of the mountain, even when you're back in the valley, you know what the top of the mountain looks like.
Yeah.
And you remember. And that's the thing. So even when you're in the valley and it's dark and it's misty and foggy and then the sun is going to come up again, and the thing is going to be good. Trust into universal abundance. Bea, can you explain? You mean holding energy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because how you described it was more like that you really feel it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is already a really advanced stage. And I think starting is maybe easier to really more fall into this trust that there is abundance, and and the universe has always the best intention for me. So this helps me a little bit, because I always have a problem with feeling or holding this energy. I feel more lost. But if I'm imagining like an energy flow coming from above that helps me or guides me in a way, then I can easier go with it.
Absolutely. It's yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. It's a lot about trusting as well, like trusting that everything happens in divine timing, trusting that the lessons show up are happening for you, not against you. Like, I think trust is a very, very good word. And also, yeah, I think that's a really good explanation, like trusting in everything and just keep going. It's like holding energy also means just keep going what you're doing, keep trusting, keep moving despite everything that's happening around you, or despite setbacks, or despite this, to keep moving, keep going, keep trusting, keep believing. I think that's believing in yourself despite evidence. That's, also a concept we spoke a lot about, like believe and know that things are going to happen to you, for you, not to you. Things are going to happen for you, even if you don't have evidence yet, even if you don't know. And that void can be for a very long time. You can walk up that mountain for a long time. And the thing is, you're walking up the mountain and you don't see where the end is. Nobody's telling you, oh, it's about 2000, it's about, 500 meters until you hit the peak. You don't know when the end is. And then all of a sudden it's like a bit like you stumble across the end and you're like, oh my God, I'm here. Like, wow, this is it. I achieved it. I'm here now. It was honestly last year, one of the things I set the intention, like I had this dream for a long time to make 100K just with horse breeding business. And last year when it happened, last year I set the intention, like, okay, it would be amazing for the horses to make more money. And also with the transition and everything that was going on, I said, okay, the horses need to like make a move on and making some money. And wouldn't this be amazing? And when I hit that goal, and it was just before Christmas, I was so surprised, and so like, it was really weird feeling, because on the one hand, I was really excited, and because I was on, how much was I on? I was on 88. And I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if at the end of November, I was on 88,000. And I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if I can still cross 6-figure for this year? That would be absolutely awesome. And then it happened, and I was like, wow, I didn't really grasp it. I was a bit overwhelmed. It's like, this really happened. Oh my God, and we're going to speak a lot more about celebrating on Friday, but this was something that really surprised me, that I was more flabbergasted than celebrating. Honestly, I was like, oh my God, this just really happened. Like, I can't believe it. Right? So yeah, this is where you hold the energy of something, where you're excited, and then all of a sudden you stumble across into the finish line, and you're like, wow, I'm here. Like, I'm actually here. Like, oh my God, I'm actually here. Like, I'm still, oh my God, I'm actually here. And it's been a month. So, it's something where you hold the energy, you do the things. And like I told you, what my coach always says is, you're going to wonder how to do it until you wonder how you did it. And this is exactly the thing. You keep the energy, you hold the energy, you keep going, you keep holding on to that dream. You keep making that promise to yourself of continuing that journey and going for that dream. And all of a sudden you just cross the finish line, and you're like, holy crap, I just crossed the finish line. I didn't even realize I was this close to the finish line. You just cross it. You know, it feels like one moment you feels like it's this far away, and then all of a sudden you cross it and you're like, crap, I crossed it. How on earth did I just cross that? You know, and this is the beauty of it. Bernie says, I would like
Nadia, I have to go. I have a meeting at 10.
Yes.
So thank you very much for
You're
today.
welcome. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll listen to the recording again.
Yeah, I think we're going to finalize. Bye. All right.
Bye.
Bernie says, I would like to share an image that helps me visualize the energy levels. I shared in the Facebook group. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Great. Good. Any other questions, comments? Anything else? All right. Okay. Nothing else. Okie dokie. So really enjoy this promises stuff. It can be, it's really beautiful. Like for me yesterday, it was a really, really, really beautiful exercise. It also kept me awake whilst driving for 11 hours. But I really, like, it took me, I don't know, it took me 45 minutes. It wasn't a big deal. It didn't take me forever. But I really went into the energy of it and I really felt it. I really, really, really felt it. That's what I would encourage you to do. Really feel into it and take it seriously and look into your eyes and all the things. Like that's the nice thing with video. You can really look into your eyes and like whilst you're talking and be like, okay, I promise myself, da, 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 da. It's really beautiful. Okay, everybody, I wish you a wonderful day. Let's close the 21 days strong. Like let's finish this in a lovely, lovely, lovely way. And we will be back for the next 2 days for high vibe things. And then on Friday, we're gonna be celebrating. So that's the second part of your homework, right? Don't forget to like prepare something to celebrate, like put on some nice clothes, make yourself a nice drink, buy yourself some nice flowers, like whatever it is that makes you feel good, or all the things. You can do all of those things. You don't only have to pick one. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.